Hi, guys, and welcome to another episode of Remix Your Life. I am live on a video. I know it's been a while now that you guys haven't seen me, but here I am. And right on my lap, I don't know if you can see him, but basically my dog is here. Jojo, say hi. Yes. If you're not seeing it, he's the cutest white little Maltese poodle. And he came into my life when I got married to my husband, and his mom was actually my in-laws' dog, and they had a bunch of puppies, and we decided to get one of them. So yes, I think he's one of the only two that are still alive. He's 11, but he's on my lap because at the time of this recording, it is actually really bad storming here where we live in West Palm Beach. It is so bad storming. It's like raining outside. I put a bunch of different lights on because it got really dark in the room while we were recording it. And I was just like, you know what? We're just going to do it this way. So yes, the angle is a little bit weird. And I look like I'm like tilting my head a little bit more because I have Jojo on top of me. But it is what it is. Sometimes podcast episodes are like that. Recordings are like that. That's what it is. We are real. And this is how it is. But thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Remix Movement. This is the Remix Your Life segment. This is a segment where basically I go ahead and talk about different topics and how they relate to your life. And sometimes we talk about certain people and we try to use their life as an example for ours, as a reflection, right? So in our last season, season 5, our last episode was basically, it was called Miracle Spotlight. And we talked about my baby cousin, Jose Miguel, or Joselito. And I was like, you know what? What better way to end this season 6 of the Remix Movement podcast with another Miracle Spotlight. And this might be one of my favorite episodes for this podcast. And I'm going to tell you why. My husband is about to turn 35 years old in the next few days. And I am choosing to do Miracle Spotlight on my husband, Louis. And I know he had no idea that we were going to do this, but it is a surprise. Surprise. I just want to talk about who he is, why he's just an amazing person, and why I consider him to be a miracle. Like why he's a miracle, not only in my life, but he's a miracle in my in-laws' life. He's a miracle in his parents and his with his brother and sister. He's a miracle to a lot of people. And we don't know. Maybe there's a bunch of people that through the teachings that he's done in the past and youth groups, or even through the Proof Project here on the Remix, he's a miracle for them because it was through what he was teaching that got them to be able to receive Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. So he's a miracle to me. And we're going to talk about that in this episode 125. All right. So I just want to go ahead and start by saying my mother-in-law, when I first met her, would always tell me the story of how something happened in his childhood and he was in danger, and it's a miracle that he's still alive thanks to his dog. I want to say his dog's name at the time was Rocky. I'm hoping that's what it was. But I know it's a really big dog. And I know that thanks to Rocky, he's alive. So that's a miracle. All right. And another reason why he's a miracle is because I feel there have been times in my life, even before we were dating, even before we were married, where I knew him as a friend. And when I felt down, Louis had the right words through God that helped me through those times. Right. Because a lot of you people don't know is that even before we started dating, we knew each other in the same church in youth group. And, we were dating other people. We were doing our own stuff. I was still in college. He was getting started on his career. But, we still knew each other. We would hang out for youth group. And, he was one of the leaders there. And he did preach. And he had his, reggaeton music ministry that he was in. But I really do believe that, God put him in my life for a reason, even before he put us together. So I give thanks to God. I don't know if you guys heard that, but there's a major thundering outside. But I give thanks to God for Louis. I give thanks to God for who he is. And I'm so happy to say that he's a walking miracle. I mean, like, I know there will be certain things that I will go through, even in the future that I don't know about, that I'm going to need Lewis, and Lewis is going to be there for me. He's going to encourage me. He's going to help me. He's going to pray for me. He's going to, tell me it's going to be all right. And I really do feel like, thank God for who he is. Like, I'm really thankful for who my husband is. All right. I'm thankful that we were able to get to know each other. I'm thankful that God put us together for a reason. I'm thankful that I've seen how hard worker he is. Like, if you want to know a hardworking person, it's going to be Lewis. Like, any of his friends will tell you, like, when you see Lewis, the first thing you see is that he's an approachable person. And I know when he listens to this, he's going to be like, Stephanie, you took a whole episode to talk about me. And I feel like you were just pumping me up. But you know what? I'm not pumping him up. Like, I'm being 100% real with you guys. Like, not because he's my husband, but because of who he is. Lewis is an honest person, and Lewis is a hard worker. He gets that from his family. His mom and dad are hard workers. He gets that from, just the character of God. And when we first got engaged, my husband literally was the only person to pay off where we got married. And he, did certain sacrifices, and he turned down, hanging out with the guys so he can save some money. And he literally worked so hard to be able to pay for where we were having our venue. And he always says that. He always says, like, I thank God that, I was put into a certain discipline. And that helped him out now, even while we're married, even for paying for rent and for paying for other bills that are really big. My husband makes a lot more money than I do, but he's always going to have that hardworking attitude. Like, even if things were in reverse, he would always have that hardworking attitude. And when the pandemic hit at the very beginning of last year, I struggled. I struggled with finding out, like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And my faith, like, I have a lot of faith in God, but there are times where reality doesn't equal what your faith is. That's never what it's going to be, right? You're going to have to look onto your faith and look onto God and trust God and say, you know what? Even though the reality says I have this amount of money in my bank account, I'm going to trust God. And Lewis was one of those people that literally, like, lit a fuse under me to remind me that even though my hours did get cut, and even though my whole department got cut except for me, like, even though there were so many different things going on with the pandemic, even though I had family members that had COVID and one of them passed away, like, he always was there to say, hey, babe, I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to work hard if I have to work hard. I'm going to do overtime if I have to do overtime. We're going to get through this. We're going to trust God, and I got you. And that's that hardworking spirit that Lewis has, which I'm really grateful for. All right. But here's another thing. My husband, Lewis, is such a funny person. Very funny. When we first started dating and we used to take selfies, he would always have a different face. Like, some faces he'd be really sad, but he really wasn't. And some faces he would be really surprised. And some faces he would open up his mouth and he would squinch his eyes. And it was so weird, but it was funny, Like, my husband is a very funny person. And when he gets with his brother and sister, I mean, like, it's a really funny environment. And I thank God for that, because I feel like humor is something that not a lot of people have. And humor is a really good medicine to have, because when you're going through the dumps, when you're having issues, when you're struggling with certain things that are going on in your life, you need to have somebody there that's just going to make you laugh. And I thank God for that, because Lewis, he's always been funny. Even to this day, like, we could have an argument and he'll just say the most randomest thing and make me laugh. Like, I really feel like that's literally like a God-given ability that he has, So, I mean, even here, when we do the podcast episodes, sometimes he'll say stuff and it'll make me laugh. And he has a lot of insight and a lot of wisdom. And a lot of people don't really get to see that side of him. Like, when Lewis was committed to teaching and preaching to the youth group, like, he literally would take the time and he would look to what he's doing. Now, he would leave everything for the last minute, but I feel like God used him in that way, because sometimes, I don't know why, he would wait till like the day before the actual teaching or preaching was, and it would still be so good. It would be relevant. It would be in a way where he didn't use a lot of words that were difficult to understand. And the kids like the way that he preaches. And even with the Proof Project, even with the Remix podcast, like he has a way of explaining things in a way that only Lewis can explain it. And he is so funny in the way he says it. He's truthful in the way he says it. He's honest. Like, another really good thing is that Lewis is a very good friend. Like, Lewis is my best friend. He will listen to when I have to vent and I'm mad. He will listen to when I'm crying and I have no reason why. Like, sometimes I feel bad because in my journey with infertility, I feel like I'm just complaining and complaining and complaining. Like, oh, I feel this and oh, I feel that. And I have this issue with the doctor and I don't know what to do. And I don't want him to feel like I'm complaining. But like, Lewis listens. He's such a good listener. And, you know, he listens. He prays with me. You know, when I have moments where I'm like, I'm under the attack of the enemy and I need help, he will literally be there with me. He won't say no. And, you know, Lewis is a really good friend. And for all of those who personally know him, like, you know, in your time of need, like, Lewis is going to be there for you. So he's a miracle to a lot of people. And I don't know why my camera just stopped. Why did my camera stop? Let's see. Camera, one moment. Oh, this is so weird. My camera just stopped. Let's see. Am I back? I'm so sorry, guys. All right. I don't know what happened there, but we're back. But yeah, so my husband, there are certain qualities that make Lewis a miracle. Not just the fact that his life was saved by a dog, not just the fact that, you know, he helps people out in their times of need, but like Lewis has the ability to connect with God, where God uses his words to encourage people. And God uses him to encourage me. And, you know, I feel like we need to do that. We need to be able to spotlight people and give credit to God for who they are. Give credit to God for how they made them. You know, Lewis has certain talents and abilities. All of the intros that we do on the Remix Movement podcast, my husband does. Like, he has this skill where he goes on his iPad or on his phone. He looks up, you know, the music. He puts the beats together. He, you know, tries it. And I remember like a few months ago, he would literally be on his iPad all the time. And I would like 2:00 in the morning, I'd hear music and be like, what is that? I would go to the living room and it's my husband working on a beat. God has given him the ability of music, you know, and he doesn't, you know, produce it and, you know, make money off of it, but God anoints his music. And I am so blessed to know that, you know, my husband is skilled in that area. He did the whole playlist for our wedding because that was very important to him and me. And he does all of the music that we do here for the Remix Movement. He does the intros. He does the outros. You know, I put in my input here and there. He asks me if he likes it, if he doesn't like it. But he has so many of these great abilities that God gives him. And he's a miracle to certain people, especially in my life and his parents' life and his brother and sister's life. So I think that's all I'm going to say. Like I said, his birthday is coming up in the next few days. It's actually the day after 4th of July. And we're going to be on vacation. But I'm looking forward to spending time with him and celebrating his life. I give thanks to God for his parents that bore him. And I give thanks to God for his family. And I give thanks to God for what he has done in my life through this man, what he's done in my life. And I know that God has so many more great things in store for him. I know he's going to continue to be a miracle for a bunch of people. And I know that he's going to continue to grow the kingdom of God. So if you have him on Instagram as a friend, if you don't, in the outro, you'll see his little handler for Instagram. Go ahead and send him a DM, send him a comment, and just be like, happy birthday, man. I heard the podcast on the Remix. Just want to, you know, share some love with you. I'm sure he would really like that. But thank you so much for listening to this episode, Miracle Spotlight on my husband, Lewis. And we'll talk to you again next week. God bless. if you enjoyed listening to this podcast, follow us on Facebook and Instagram at The Remix Movement for more updates. Be sure to check out our videos on YouTube and subscribe. Feel free to send us a DM with your feedback, questions, and any topics that you would like to hear in any of our future episodes. Thank you, and God bless.